Moving into Maple Hollow was supposed to be a fresh start. After 3 years of therapy and a long battle with anxiety stemming from a car bombing during my last deployment, I finally felt stable enough to settle down. The townhomes were modest, but the community was quiet. And most importantly, it allowed me to walk daily with my service dog, Onyx, a sharp, all-black German shepherd trained to detect early signs of a panic attack and respond immediately. Onyx isn't just a dog. He's my tether to reality when the world spirals. He's trained to interrupt harmful behavior, clear a path in a crowd, and even retrieve my emergency meds from a special vest pocket. He's also calm, obedient, and wears his official service vest whenever we're out. I knew my rights under the Americans with Disabilities Act like a sacred mantra. I never thought I'd need to recite them nearly every week. The first time I met our HOA president, Mrs. Eleanor Dwyer, she emerged from a rosebush. Literally. She startled Onyx while he was sniffing the edge of a garden bed during our first walk. "That canine needs to stay away from my begonias," she snapped, brushing soil off her beige linen pants. "We don't allow pets in the front-facing lots." I explained politely that Onyx wasn't a pet. He was a service animal, fully registered and protected under federal law. She gave me a tight-lipped smile that didn't reach her eyes. "We'll see what the board thinks," she said, before disappearing behind her perfectly trimmed hedge. That board became my nightmare. Within 10 days, I received my first notice. Improper leash length. Onyx must be on a 3-foot leash maximum. I was using a standard 6-foot ADA compliant leash that allowed Onyx enough room to maneuver when I got dizzy. Next came complaints about dog scent on common grounds, a claim so absurd I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Then came a $50 fine for disrupting landscaping patterns, referring to when Onyx laid under a tree during one of my dizzy spells. I complied where I could. But I knew this wasn't about rules. It was about control. 1 week later, an emergency HOA session was held. The agenda? Service animal regulation reform? Eleanor stood in front of a projector with a smugness that reminded me of commanding officers I couldn't respect. "We are not discriminating," she said, her voice saccharine. "We are simply requiring all animals to undergo temperament evaluations and wear board-issued tracking collars." My hand shot up. That's a violation of federal law. You can't demand tracking devices on service animals, nor can you require evaluations outside of certified programs. She cut me off. "This isn't the military, Mr. Hale. This is Maple Hollow. We have standards here." Several neighbors looked uncomfortable, but no one challenged her. I left the meeting shaken. Onyx nudged my leg gently all the way home. The breaking point came on a hot Friday afternoon. I had returned from a therapy appointment and was watering a few potted plants on my porch. Onyx lay in the shade, vest on, calm and watchful. That's when Eleanor strutted down the sidewalk with 2 HOA board members in tow. "Still violating leash code," she barked. "And this plant display exceeds aesthetic guidelines." I calmly put the watering can down. "None of what you're saying is legally enforceable against a service animal. And those pots are within community color regulation." That's when she did the unthinkable. She pulled out a small dog whistle from her handbag and blew it, long and sharp. Onyx winced, yelped, and scrambled back, pawing at his ears. "What are you doing?" I shouted, stepping in front of him. "It's ultrasonic, just to discourage aggression," she said, smirking. "If he were truly trained, he wouldn't react." I was shaking, not from fear, but fury. Onyx was disoriented, whining softly. I took him inside, comforted him, and called animal control and the police immediately. I stated everything clearly. The HOA president used a sonic whistle on my federally protected service animal. I want to file a formal charge for interference and animal harassment. They took it seriously. By the time officers arrived, I had pulled security footage from my doorbell cam. Eleanor's actions were caught in full HD. The officers viewed the footage, examined Onyx's paperwork, and spoke briefly with Eleanor across the street. Her face turned purple. She kept saying it was a neighborhood discipline tool. When they came back, they told me what I'd hoped to hear. Mr. Hale, her actions constitute a violation of both federal ADA protections and state cruelty laws. Do you want to press charges? Yes, I said, without hesitation. That night, as Eleanor was escorted out in handcuffs, neighbors stood quietly outside their homes. Some were stunned. Others whispered things like, "Finally," and "About time." The next morning, a neighbor I barely knew, a retired nurse named Lisa, brought Onyx a treat and thanked me. We all knew she was out of control. We just didn't know how to stop her. You did. The legal process was fast, surprisingly. Eleanor tried to fight it in court, but between the video, the police report, and Onyx's certified status, there wasn't much ground to stand on. The judge was a stoic woman with a reputation for not tolerating community politics. She stared Eleanor down like a drill sergeant. "You attempted to enforce neighborhood rules through harassment and sonic assault," the judge said coldly. "Service animals are not subject to HOA rules, and more importantly, neither are the people who depend on them to function." Eleanor was fined $6,000, sentenced to 45 days in jail, and ordered to attend both animal empathy and ADA compliance training. At the emergency HOA meeting, called shortly after, the community voted unanimously to remove her from the board. Onyx sat beside me, vest shining, eyes steady as ever. The new board president, a kind woman named Priya, approached us after the meeting. "From now on," she said, "your rights and Onyx's won't be questioned." I looked down at Onyx, scratched behind his ears. He leaned into my touch like always, unshaken, loyal. I'd faced combat, trauma, and the slow rebuilding of a broken life. I never expected my hardest battle to come from flower beds and HOA meetings, but with Onyx beside me, I didn't fight alone, and for once, justice didn't wear a uniform. It wore a leash.